Hello, Jimmy Kinley, Guild Mortgage, reaching out to give you a quick update on what's going on in the mortgage world. So, the the first of all, I want to start out by explaining yet again that the Fed does not control mortgage rates. Yes, in many situations, when the Fed is cutting rates, mortgage rates are improving for the same reasons investors are investing in mortgage-backed securities. But this last month, that did not happen. In fact, we saw mortgage rates stay extremely stable over the last month. And the Fed rate cut, even though we knew the Fed was going to cut rates, Jerome Powell said after the last meeting that they'd have to be super cautious, but we knew the Fed was going to cut rates. And usually when we know the Fed's going to cut rates is when mortgage-backed securities investors are investing and causing rates to go down prior to the Fed rate cut. We didn't see that this time. And you ask why? The answer is the government shutdown. There was no other data coming out. And the lack of the data, unemployment numbers and inflation numbers and all that important data, um, you know, causes investors to stay still and not really do anything, which is the reason we haven't really seen rates move. The only real move we got was the day that the Fed cut rates. The rates did jump up an eighth, almost 0.2% that afternoon, which had nothing to do with the Fed rate cut. It had everything again to do with Jerome Powell's words. Um, I understand his position. The problem is he says these cautionary tale things that sound like the Fed's not going to do anything else when he still is doing rate cuts. So, he said that the December Fed meeting rate cut is not a foregone conclusion. And he went on to say, in fact, it's far from it, which caused the odds of a Fed rate cut in December to go from 90 something percent down to like 60%. The reality is the Fed's going to have to continue to cut rates, but they do have a balancing act. They have a hard job, but his words drive markets. And long story short version, if you want to know why the Fed cut rates and rates inched up a little, it's because of those words and the lack of data. That not so positive unemployment data and the inflation data, those are the other driving factors that are going to help rates continue to move down. And this government shutdown that seems to never end is keeping all that data from coming out. So I really think in the immediate future, as long as the government shutdown is going on, the market's going to stay pretty flat as far as mortgage rates go. And then once that's over and the data starts coming out, I assume the backlog of data will be kind of a overwhelming thing that will take time to digest and markets to respond. But I do believe rates will continue to trickle down. We're just going to hit a flat spot here for a little while. So with that being said, mortgage rates are at the lowest point they've been at in 3 years. For those of you who want three, those days are gone. But these are the lowest rates we've seen since the rates crossed this point, 3 years ago. So mortgage rates are doing well, and I think they'll continue to trickle down. It's just going to take time. I will say that the housing market, there was buyers coming out of the woodworks with better rates, and we saw a nice little run of buyers happening. And then the government shutdown, it just seems that it makes people who are looking to buy houses nervous, which I can understand. So the demand kind of fell off, and I will say the buyers that are buying houses right now are getting deals. If you're one of those people that has the ability and would like to own a home, it's a good time to do it. Either way, if you have any questions for me, let me know. 720-261-1410. Hope you're having a great day.